Hello! Happy Valentine's Day. My name is Amber Campbell. I'm an author and freelance editor. And what better gift of love is there than for a freelancing site to unveil new metrics to earn money for their thousands of freelancers? Yes, we're talking about Fiverr. And if you're a seller of any level on their site, you need to be aware of not only the new metrics for evaluating your tier, but also, and I'm reading off a script, also the new metrics you'll be judged on by Fiverr's team and your future clients. Let's dive right into it. Quick rundown. The old tier system consisted of new seller, level 1, level 2, and top rated. For the purpose of this video, we're not going into pro-rated sellers. While these 4 classes still exist, there are additional qualifications to hit before you'll be promoted. So we're going to discuss all 6 of the metrics that you need to be hitting in order to get promoted, and at the end, what the pros and cons are overall for you as a seller on the site. Also, note, found this out this morning, this rollout is not updated on the mobile site just yet. You'll have to log onto your computer, which is what I'm looking at right now, to actually see what the changes are. I normally like to do these with like a light outline, but this is fully scripted because the first metric we're talking about is success score, which is a brand new one, which is going to ruffle quite a few feathers. And I wanted to make sure I had written down everything that I had found from this rollout here today. So number 1, this is the newest addition that involves more complications than its previous criteria. So your success score, we will go into it. But if you are a new seller, you need to have a success score of 5 to reach level 1, 7 to reach level 2, or 9 to reach top rated. This metric analyzes each of your gigs in key areas related to the order process and your relationship with clients relative to other freelancers. That's a direct quote from the website, which I will link as many pages as I can below. Also, more weight is given to gigs with higher amount of orders. I do like that. So currently my beta reading gig, which is by far my most popular, has like a success score of 10. Everything else, I think it was like 8, 5, and 4. So we're going to dive into what this actually entails. Metrics of the success score are based on the individual gigs. So not necessarily you, but also you. And we'll see why in a minute. The 5 that I found based on mine, and please comment below if you found one that I did not mention: client satisfaction, conflict-free orders, order cancellations, delivery time, and effective communication. Here's what I have found out. You can have a positive impact, which is their wording, on the last 4 I mentioned and still have negative impact on client satisfaction. I don't know how that can even happen. If they love these 9 things, then that means the 10th, which is an average of all 9 of them, is negative. I still have not figured that one out. So let's go into client satisfaction. This metric is determined by the private reviews clients leave that we as sellers don't have access to. So if you look at my status, it shows you I have 71 reviews, but I've had 95 orders placed in the last year and a half. So what that tells me is that roughly those 25 or so could have been negative private reviews that, as I mentioned, I don't have access to, which means I have no way of fixing it. Because Fiverr never tells us what those private reviews are. It's for them to judge us on. But then also tell us, oh, if you want to have great client satisfaction, you should communicate with them. I do. That's why that was a positive impact. And it says, oh, well, make sure you deliver on time. Again, positive impact. You're not really helping me, Fiverr, on what to do with concrete steps to actually improve this so-called client satisfaction rating. Also, as I mentioned, because they probably come from private reviews, it doesn't make any sense to me because let's go into, I'll actually put a screenshot up here. The Write a Query Letter gig that I have posted has a success score of 4 with a 5-star rating. Like, that's not even an average. They are all 5 stars. And I want to say there's like 14 reviews written on it. So let's say I've maybe completed 20 of them in the last year and a half. So those 6 individuals brought my score down so low it's at a 4. I don't know how to fix that. I don't know if maybe that's something I should pull back on and just focus on beta reading, copy editing, and manuscript critiques, which are majority of what I do now. Most of my clients, if they get a query letter, it's an add-on with the beta read, which is much easier for me to do regardless. At this point, the only advice that I can give is continue striving above and beyond on communication and early delivery and I'm trying to think, don't cancel your orders, I guess, to offset the client satisfaction scores, which seem to be the one thing we don't have direct control or knowledge of, which is great. So that's another thing. I had one that was like a neutral or a negative review of a conflict-free order. I don't know what that means. I have looked for it. Basically, it means that the client was dissatisfied with something. And again, on the query letters, you have revisions. I think I've had maybe one or two clients who actually took the query letter I submitted at face value and was like, this is great, I love it. Everyone else took the revision offers. And I know it says one revision, but I've also told them, if something is really not working, let me know, because this not only affects you, this affects my future clients. And if I can, unravel a new formula for the query letters that will hit agents faster for my clients, that's what my goal is. So unfortunately, the success score is basically the highest rating that there is to get. It's a 9 out of 10. And this is based on metrics we don't have direct access to. And if you click on their site, it is the most generic thing of, be a great freelancer and you'll have better scores. I don't know. Maybe I just have really nice clients who don't leave me negative public reviews. And that's why I'm confused about where all this negative impact and severe negative impact is coming from. But that aside, let's go into the criteria and the metrics that we actually are already familiar with and know how to control in some way, shape, or form. Next up, we're going to talk about rating. This one is based on the previous 90 days. And great news for sellers, this metric has been lowered in order to break the perfectionism mold that Fiverr created when they first launched their site. I've seen this on so many platforms. I'm over on Alex Fasulo's freelancing page over on Facebook. Everyone complains about this. And they'll say, oh, a client left me a 4-star review so it would look more believable. There is truth to that. Unfortunately, Fiverr didn't see that for a very long time, and they saw, oh, you got a 4-star review. Something can be improved. No, there are just people who don't believe in 5-star reviews. That's okay. I am an author. If you give me a 4-star review, I am as happy as if you gave me a 5-star review. That means you loved it. If you tell me, I don't think your book was perfect, I'm going to go, yeah, it probably wasn't. Very few books I read to me are perfect and have no reason to be improved on. So the fact that they've lowered this from basically having a 4.9 and above for every single tier down to much more reasonable and actionable rating tiers, I guess I should say, is a huge win for sellers. And they also said, imagine this, that ratings between a 4.0 and a 4.9 were more trustworthy per the client reviews. Again, I assume these are the private reviews that I don't get to see. And so they wanted to lower it so that the clients would be happier on the seller site. So, that's okay. So, basically the new promotion tiers are as follows. If you're a new seller getting level 1, you need a 4.4 average, which is so easy to do in the beginning. Level 2, 4.6 on average, and for top rated, 4.7, which actually hasn't changed, but it's top rated. That makes sense. I'm still okay with it. I think my average rating is still a 5.0, even with the 2 4-star reviews I've gotten in the last 90 days. So we're doing good there. Again, this is the average over the previous 90 days. Your response rate, another huge win. So Fiverr originally had set this metric to a very unreasonable 1 hour for its best response time, but this is unreasonable. I have had one issue with time zones where I'm supposed to be asleep between certain hours, and if you messaged me like 30 minutes in, it would kind of count, but then also stop counting and then recount in the morning. I'm not sure what was going on there. There were a lot of spam that weren't coming up because people would set, if anything looked like spam, to go into a separate folder. I don't recommend doing this. Let the spam roll in. That way you can respond to them quickly with just a, hi, how can I help you? And that way it's responded to. However, for actual meaningful inquiries, you want to actually send a response that shows, hey, I read it, I'm listening to you, let's see what we need to do so that we can set up a project together. So, again, not reasonable for most people, right, to respond within the hour. Therefore, with the new qualifications, as long as you respond within the first 24 hours, that is their bottom line metric, which is fantastic. I think most people probably respond within, I would say 3 to 6 hours is the average that I see on Fiverr. And again, that's with the time zones actually working for you. But it's also a thing of, if they're a client and they're reaching out for work, I'm going to respond as fast as I can because I want to take on more work because that's kind of my job. So This is going to be very helpful. Also, if you're a new seller or you've just been on the site for not, very long, but maybe you're level 1, never do your on vacation out of office, ever. All you're going to do is drop your tier. I'm going to talk about a little bit more about what they had to help with dropping in tier, but as far as out of office goes, as soon as you put out of office, you're not getting messages, you're not getting orders, and that's going to negatively affect your ratings because unfortunately we are freelancers on someone else's site. So we are contracted to their rules and regulations and not our own. So with the previous tier, with the ratings, the response rate is still based on the previous 90 days. If you want to get level 1, it's 80% response rate. Level 2 is 90%. Top rate is also 90%. So basically respond, I would recommend, within 2 to 6 hours and you will be golden. Number 4 is the amount of orders. This has dropped significantly, and this is probably going to piss off people who have already made level 2 and top rated. So originally, level 1, you had to have 10 orders, which was hard. I think it took me like 5 months on the site to hit 10 orders, 5 or 6 months. That went from 10 to 5. For level 2 promotion, you needed 50 orders. That has dropped to 20. And for top rated, it dropped from 100 completed orders down to 40. So basically, I've hit top rated except for the earnings. That is it. And it's a pro for sellers who offer those high ticket gigs. So I'm talking software development, web development, translation, photography, more techie related things, more, research based items. For someone like me who charges on average $90 for beta reading, or I get like 1 to 2 copy edit jobs a year. It's very slow on Fiverr. It's not where people are looking for it. That's okay. I'm not worried about it. But it doesn't really affect me. So I'm negatively nor positively affected by this, which is okay. But for those of you who do charge like $300-400 per project, you have a better chance of leveling up sooner so that those prices better reflect your seller level. Because if you're a brand new seller with 1 review and you're charging $400 for something, most people are going to be a little skeptical just because they don't have enough testimonials on you to know that you're a trustworthy person who's going to perform the job that they need done. Next up, this is a new Fiverr metric as well, and it's unique clients. So I am thinking that this metric will hopefully halt individuals who hire friends or colleagues for work to get them to level 1 faster. There's nothing wrong with hiring or having friends and colleagues hire you, but you don't want to have the same friend and say, hey man, order 5 gigs from me and in 1 month span I'll be level 1. No, 3 of your first 5 orders must be unique clients. For level 2, it's 10 of the 20 top rated, 20 of the 40. So 50% of your clients should be coming from unique individuals, which if you're someone who does web development or social media, you might have a lot of repeat clients. I don't, because my clients usually write 1 to 2 manuscripts a year. So I would say about 20% of mine are repeat clients, and that didn't happen until a year into it but they'd written their next book. So if you're somebody who has a lot of repeat clients or steadily does that, that might affect you. But I think based on what it is, 20 of the 40 orders must be unique. I looked at mine. Mine is 73 of 40. So once you hit those 40, you're good. You just have to make sure that there's unique ones afterwards. It's not like, oh, if it's 20 of 40, but I have 80, I have to have 40 unique ones. No, they're still only looking for the 20. So you're okay. And lastly, our earnings. Not a huge change here. Actually, I don't think there were any changes now that I'm looking at it. So the top rated used to be $20,000. The previous revamp that Fiverr did, they brought it down to $10,000. That's still where it's at. And so level 1 for promotion, you need to hit $400. Level 2 is $2,000. And as I said, top rated is $10,000. Keep in mind, my new freelancers, that these are the earnings after Fiverr takes their 20%. So, hold on, that's the dog. As I mentioned, those are the earnings after Fiverr takes their 20%. And yes, Fiverr still takes 20% of your tips, and I don't think they will ever change this, so that's nice. But to wrap everything up, just for the pros and cons list, there are more pros and cons, which is good. So 1, you have a lower order amount threshold for promotion eligibility for high-ticket sellers. There is a wider time frame to respond to messages. You have a lower average rating needed for promotion eligibility. Once you earn eligibility for level 1 or level 2 seller, which is super, super exciting, you'll be promoted the next day instead of the next evaluation day, which is amazing because there were some sellers who would hit it on the 17th, the 18th. They would have to wait for the following 14th or 15th to get that promotion. Don't have to do that anymore. Also, something I haven't been able to mention yet, there is now a 30-day grace period if you fall below your required metrics to bring your averages up to maintain your tier. For most people on the Facebook page I'm on, for some reason, the response rates are terrible. I don't know what they're doing wrong because my response rates have been like 90% or above since I started. But basically, that evaluation day hits and you're at like 88% response rate and you needed 90, you have the next period of evaluation to get that up to 90 because you're going to drop off a month. That way you can go ahead and maintain your tier, which is fantastic for sellers. Again, we are freelancers on someone else's site. We do have to play by their rules to an extent, and this was one of them, but they are working in our favor. Now on to the cons. That lovely success score is based on private reviews we don't have access to, and therefore we're guessing at which business practices of ours may be hindering our overall score. Secondly, we can be demoted and potentially have to lower our rates because of being a lower tier due to a lack of orders that we don't have control over. On a site like Fiverr, where we have to pay fees for marketing. So many individuals I've seen talk about Seller Plus or talk about promoted gigs. The problem with those is as soon as you get off Seller Plus or turn off your promoted gigs, you vanish from rankings completely. Do not do it. It's not worth it in the short term to get some orders because as soon as you stop, Fiverr acts like you have never existed. So don't fall into that promoted gigs thing. I don't care if they give you like $5, $10 free dollars. I think they were doing that for a while. Do not fall for it. Just don't even get involved. Your rankings will be a lot better and you will get more work because of that in the long term. And lastly, Fiverr takes 20% of tips. I'm going to include this in my cons for as long as they continue to do this because I don't think it's right. I will give it to Fiverr that besides these, the two big cons weighing pretty heavily, even compared to the 5 pros that we got, I do appreciate that Fiverr seems to be taking more of an effort to side with sellers rather than the buyers, because we are the reason that they're getting that 20%. And I'm not saying everybody would jump off the site. We all know that is not how things like this work. Not 100% of people are going to be willing to jump ship because then like the 30% that stay are going to make all the money and they're like, well, you were stupid for jumping ship because now we're making money. So not to get into that kind of politics, but I do like that they're making effort, that there's now a 24-hour window for response, that there is lower thresholds to make these next levels for those who have higher paying gigs. And also for anybody who's upset that Fiverr lowered the earnings threshold for the top rated from 20,000 to 10,000 in the last update. Keep in mind that for top rated, there is still a manual review of all sellers who reach the eligibility, okay? The 20 in-demand services, and I'll post something up here as well, because they're looking at a 45 to 90 day waiting period for the review. And yeah, none of my gigs are in there. The only writing related ones are translation. I think there might be a copy something, not copywriting, but something to do with copy. So that means that for the rest of us, we're looking at, let's be honest, a year before we get the promotion. So let's say I hit my promotion eligibility for everything in May of this year. I probably won't see it until May of next year, simply because it's that manual team that's doing it. If beta reading's not making them as much money as software development and translation, then they're not going to worry about promoting me to top rated because that's not what's bringing in their money at the moment. So lowering that tier basically put more work on them rather than helping us out at all. So that was kind of a catch-22. Didn't actually positively or negatively affect us, I don't believe. Lastly, for anybody who's been on there a while, Fiverr Pro is still under construction and is not open for new applications. So I have no idea when that's going to return because I had talked myself into doing it when I got level 1, realized that most people in the community were saying you have to have a minimum of 100 orders. Some of them said even 200 and 10,000 in earnings before Fiverr will even look at your application for Pro. So I was putting it off, and now you can't do it at all. So no idea when it's coming back. I hope it's soon, but you know, it is what it is. And with that huge amount of information, please subscribe to catch all of my freelancing updates and like this video if you found it helpful in any way. if you're still here, really quick, my second poetry collection come out. Yay! And it came out February 13th. And I'm really excited. It's petty poetry. It's Love, Lost, Loser, Exes. Super chill collection. Should take you like an hour to read. It's on Kindle Unlimited for those of you who have that. Otherwise, it is available for purchase for the ebook from Amazon, or the paperback is available everywhere. But thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.
There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room. And damn, what a hell of a view.